gonna share 5 anime-related opinions that will likely compel someone to put a hit out on me. But no matter what illegal action you're planning to take, just remember, it's my opinion, my factual opinion. I'm gonna start light and progressively get more inflammatory. So if you start hyperventilating and feeling the urge to look for either a pitchfork or your Twitter password, maybe it's time to shut off the video. I'll make this quick because after this video, I need to get on the next flight out of this country. So number 1 is about One Piece. I said I was gonna start light, right? Whatever. I used to watch One Piece, like a decade ago. I get really sad because I hear a lot about One Piece and see a lot of clips that look really cool. Jump Force was a piece of shit garbage game, but I thought the moves Luffy had were pretty nice. I even had a One Piece game for the PS2 that I played all the time. I had the 4Kids stuff, but you know.
You think your little threats scare me?
I'm saying all of this because I want you to see. I wanted to be one of those people calling One Piece the greatest piece of media ever. They made 2 very big mistakes though. 1 was putting the Alabasta arc where it was in the show, and 2 was having that fucking arc last as long as it did. You know how typically after you watch a certain amount of episodes of a show, you're more likely to stick with it even through the lows because you know it's gonna come back strong? I watched 110 episodes of One Piece. I already knew from my friends and all of the internet that it gets pretty crazy.
The writing's amazing. The fights are out of this world.
And the characters.
I know, but that fucking arc made me drop it back in 2013, and I never picked it back up. Let me put this into perspective for you. They meet Vivi in episode 65, and then by episode 67, they take her and start heading to Alabasta. I thought this was just gonna be a little side thing, like 10 episodes max. Over 40 episodes later, this bitch is still here. And that's not even the end of the arc, that's just where I dropped it. What's taking so long? Maybe it was the multiple filler episodes they decided to place along this journey? Why? Did they think we wanted more Vivi? I didn't. I've heard that after the famous time skip, she becomes more of a real character, but she wasn't anything during this time. I just wanted her off the fucking boat. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep calling it the Alabasta arc, but even though they've been heading towards Alabasta since episode 67, the Alabasta arc doesn't start until they actually get there, which is in episode 92. What? And you know what made this arc 10 times worse? If you're a big One Piece fan and you're still here for some reason, it might be time to move on to take 2. Okay. I was enjoying the crew so far. Luffy had some good energy, Zoro was great, Nami was cool. I liked Usopp way more than I expected to. And Sanji's intro arc actually made me cry. So what's the problem? You might remember that a new crew member got introduced during this lovely Alabasta journey. So why didn't I mention Little Chopper? Well, I hate him. I fucking hated Chopper so much. They brought an actual child on board and that was supposed to improve things? A child is the fastest way to ruin any good time. And the way they handled his introduction was ridiculous. You meet him for the first time, then they have the nerve to throw you into a 3-episode flashback about him in the next episode. Why did they think he earned that? They did not even kind of establish this character at this point. What they established afterwards is... well, and don't try to defend him with shit that happens later. That doesn't matter to me. It was a horrible introduction to him. In conclusion, I was enjoying One Piece up until this point, and I'm sure I would have enjoyed One Piece after this arc too. But why make it such an uphill battle to get to the good stuff? I felt like I was being hazed. Maybe in another decade's time, I'll give it another chance. Good thing I started light, right? For number 2, it's time to go for Hunter x Hunter. The anime, I haven't read the manga. Don't get me wrong, Hunter x Hunter is great. I love Hunter x Hunter. Some of the best writing and power systems I've seen in a show. Now when you ask people what's the best Hunter x Hunter arc, what are they gonna say? The Chimera Ant arc. And they're wrong. I'm not gonna say here and defend why the York New City arc was the best arc, because it needs no defense. Instead, I'm gonna explain what the Chimera Ant arc did that was offensive enough for me to make this career-ending take. As a whole, the story in the Chimera Ant arc was definitely the peak of Hunter x Hunter. But if you think about it, what other opinion were you supposed to have? The Chimera Ant arc is almost half of the show. It's very hard to justify any arc being that long relative to the length of the show. And I don't think Hunter x Hunter can justify it either. If you could condense even half the amount of time that's just people standing around thinking, scenes that are played in slow motion, then in slow motion from 3 different angles, just to be replayed in regular motion, and make that fucking narrator just a little bit more concise, that arc would have been half the length. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm all for slowing things down to get the proper mood, but most of the time it felt more like they were padding the episode. Everything before they stormed the castle was so drawn out, and only some of it was recognizable as building tension. When I watched Gon do a special move, and then I had to see Knuckle explain what I just watched 2 different ways, the only thing I could think of was that one of the writers for Naruto sneezed on someone who was working on Hunter x Hunter, and then spread the disease throughout the whole staff for this one arc. That's the worst part about it. It did not seem this bad in any of the other arcs. Everyone at the studio just collectively lost their minds for this one part, and ruined the arc for me. Well, that and at the end of the last arc when Gon called me the N-word. Number 3 has to do with sports anime. And almost all of them do this, but I'm gonna use haikyuu as an example here. Haikyuu's great. I love haikyuu. I like everyone on our main team. Well, almost everyone. Synergy, the highs, the lows. I'm here for all of it. I don't care about the other teams. I don't want to see how quirky they are. I don't want to see their team interactions. There's only 2 things I want to see from these side teams. The challenge they present to our main characters, and them crying in the locker rooms after they lose. I don't want to see any more of them. The only exception I can give leeway to is like the main rival of the series. Most sports anime do this nonsense with spotlighting the enemy team. teams too much. But this was my biggest issue with haikyuu because they took it to another level. The only teams I expected to see a lot of were Nekoma and Seijo. Sort of, I guess. But almost every team that shows up in this series gets the whole shebang. I'm talking flashbacks, training montages, friends and family power-ups, emotional monologues. Who are these guys? They were introduced and destroyed in like the same episode and they still got flashbacks. And don't even get me started about the ones that stick around after the game is done and are relegated to sideline commentary from the bleachers. I don't think I'm asking for much. You lost, wear your L on your chest, and get out of the show. Who's with me? Moving on. Number 4. Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's pretty new when I was a kid. At least Dragon Ball Z was. But because of its very sporadic airing on TV, I never watched it. And I never will. But that's not even the take. You know why I'll never watch Dragon Ball? It's old. I'm sorry. Not everything ages well. I would argue that almost nothing ages well. We're well past the age where something can be considered new just because it's in color. If I'm trying to look up a video and it's in 240p with a 4:3 aspect ratio, it's too old. I've been spoiled by today's graphics, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. There are so many classics that I've never seen because I missed them when my standards were still under the floorboards, and I'm never going back to them. It's 2023. I'm not gonna watch anything from 1980. I don't mind outing myself in the Dragon Ball one because I imagine anyone without the nostalgia prescription can agree that it looks pretty fucking old. But I don't think I should mention anything else I haven't seen because this is probably bad enough already. Actually, I'll give you one more. Akira. And now we've come to number 5. I guess the danger level of this take is really dependent on which of the big 3 you gravitated towards more. For me, it was Naruto. Let's just get to the point. Hinata. Hinata. Why do people like Hinata? She is nothingness taken human form. Aside from her glow up in Shippuden, I don't understand why people go crazy for her. She was just a stalker in the background for all of season 1 and just non-existent for season 2, which isn't really her fault. I think Kishimoto added way too many characters for any of them to get decent screen time by the end, but my point still stands. What was there to like exactly? Don't bring up Boruto. I didn't watch Boruto. She was popular before Boruto. Explain yourself. I guess you could say she was devoted beyond any reasonable standard, but it's a little hard to appreciate when she's doing it from behind a pole where she knows you can't see her. Maybe her shyness is cute? I mean, there's shyness and then there's whatever this is. I don't think her and the guy she gets married to had a single conversation in the entire show, though that's why they had to build that entire relationship in one movie.
Good luck and everything.
Thanks. Whoa, that's weird. I didn't even notice her.
There's nothing more to her. I tried to look up Hinata's wiki to see if I could find anything related to her personality, and there's literally a sentence that says, Hinata's primary motivation is Naruto Uzumaki. She's not devoted, she's obsessed. I think so many of the female characters were so unlikable that Hinata's nothing was a lot more endearing in comparison. But I reject that notion. Sakura, Ino, and Tenten had a lot more to offer. Okay, one of those was a little disrespectful. I'm sorry, Hinata. Arguably her largest amount of screen time was during the shounen exams. That arc's great. I love that arc. Do you know how often she's on screen and her only contribution is
Naruto.
Okay, that's my time. I know a lot of people will disagree, but feel free to let me know if you did agree with anything I said here. My responses might be a little late because, you know. Don't forget to subscribe.